Boy, it really is the year of CG monkeys being oppressed by a CG monkey king, isn't it?
Stupid monkey.
What a wonderful day!
Those damn dirty apes are back to blow it up for a third time in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So before I begin, I should definitely make it clear I have not seen all of the prequel-boot-chise, whatever this is called, with the exception of the previous one, and I like that one quite a bit, particularly the technology, the effects on it, which a lot of the time looked very realistic. It's one of the few times where I'm looking at these CG creatures and swearing to God they're really there. And this film, I'm glad to say, has very similar effects. About half the time I really believe they're right there interacting with the environment. The other half, it doesn't look bad, it just looks like typical CG, and that's more when they're jumping around, swinging on stuff, or have to do action sequences. But the scenes that are the most important, arguably, when they are interacting with other characters or humans and so forth, and they have to just sit there and have these very strong emotional reactions. They are very convincing and look very, very lifelike. Like the last film, you don't have to have seen the previous movies to catch on to what's happening. They give a very good summary of when this is and what has happened and what place apes are at and what place humans are at. They're very, very good at explaining that while also leaving a little bit of mystery. This one starts off saying that it's several generations later since the last film. So it's kind of fun trying to put together how evolved are apes now and how de-evolved are humans now, and how much are they holding on to, how much has the world changed and civilization changed, and all that is a really, really good time. And at the center of it is also a very likable lead and very likable side characters. This is very much a straightforward hero's journey that you've seen before, but because they make the characters so interesting and likable and expressive, I mean, like I said, just reading the emotions on these creatures, despite the fact that they can talk, and they talk quite a bit in this, is really something.
Are you familiar with the concept of evolution?
I don't know, have you been to Florida? As the story goes, it is still engaging and keeps you invested the whole time. It's about this one ape who has been wronged by this other tribe of apes, and so he's traveling to get revenge and bring back honor to his home and everything. You come across these different characters, and again, you have to kind of figure out more and more how much do they know, how intelligent are they, and there are just enough kind of little twists and turns that while this does follow a lot of the typical tropes of like a typical hero's journey trying to get revenge, the little surprises do keep it kind of fresh. It starts off a little slow, but it picks up very, very quickly, and when it does get very, very intense. It really does build up that this is a world of animals that have this morality to them, though they're not always necessarily the smartest. I like the fact that their language is a touch more primitive than some of the other apes in this. You get the idea that they really are secluded and they have their own way of living their life, and it's nice to see how they live that life.
Legend says ape and human lived side by side. Impossible as that may seem.
There was time when apes even check into hotels with humans. It is a 2.5-hour running time, which I was not looking forward to, but I am proud to say that you do not feel the running time, or at least I didn't. I felt like it did go at a very good pace. It took time to really see the characters have certain moments sink in. When somebody is lost, you really see them accept that loss. When a happy moment happens, you really see them be happy and enjoy it and get those moments of levity. I don't want to go too much into what happens just with the basic story with this, because I went in knowing very, very little, and I think that's the best way to approach it. While there is, like I said, a very traditional journey going on, the little surprises in it in terms of the ape's place and humanity's place is very interesting, and I think allows for some really cool moments and unexpected surprises. With all that said, I do have a little bit of an issue with the final third. It's not bad, but it is a itty-bitty anticlimactic. There is still the main character meeting up with the big threat and getting his revenge and the big battle and all that, but for what this film is promising based on the first 2/3, especially how it starts off when you see just, how much misery this character has to go through, the final third doesn't really follow through as strong. I think a big part of that is that they build up this bad ape, just this clear villain, and man, you want to see him find this guy and give him his comeuppance, you want to see him get his revenge, and then they kind of focus on this other villain, this other bad ape, who is also very, very interesting and played well, and they give him an interesting personality and backstory and all that, but then you kind of forget about the original one, the one that started all this. You kind of forget he's even in the movie until suddenly he shows up in the last few minutes, and I feel like so much of the angst and adrenaline that was built around that character, finding him, is really kind of tossed aside for a little bit because we're focusing more on this other villain. And on top of that, when they try to get their plan going to stop these evil bad apes, it does take a little bit of time, probably more than it needs to, which, like I said, this film does not feel particularly long, but that is the only moment where I was saying, all right, we can speed this up.
It is my kingdom.
I didn't know I wanted an all-monkey version of Dune, but I kind of want an all-monkey version of Dune. And when the big climax does finally happen, it's not really a whole bunch of apes running at each other and fighting or anything like that, or even that many one-on-one fights. It's more being trapped underwater, and this might be a personal pet peeve, but I just don't think underwater battles are that interesting. The only ones top of my head that I can think of that really worked are anything James Cameron touches, and Aquaman, I guess. I don't even like underwater levels in video games. They just slow everything down and they move awkwardly. That doesn't show me what the character is capable of. It just feels really sluggish and slow. Usually I like underwater scenes when they're more trying to figure out how to get out of there. Like, that's a little bit more exciting and suspenseful, but when they have to have a fight with that going on, I don't know, it never really thrills me.
Apes hunt humans. That is wrong.
That is not the line in the movie. It's not a big deal, but it's just a pet peeve of mine. That line is not in the movie. That tire from Twister, it's not in Twister! And if I really had to nitpick, I would say there's probably one too many Planet of the Apes callbacks. I remember Roger Ebert, when reviewing one of the Spider-Man movies, said, if I have to see Peter Parker get bitten by that spider one more time, I'm gonna lose my mind. And I think I'm the same way with apes riding horses throwing nuts on humans. I am so sick of that image, and I didn't even know I was sick of it until I saw it in this movie. I'm just so tired of seeing that for some reason. And the same thing with the scarecrows. I don't know why. I've just seen that in too many reboots, and it's just not that interesting to me anymore. Yeah, oh my, topsy-turvy, I've seen it.
In their time, humans were capable of many great things.
But then, Twitter. I'm not gonna lie, when I saw the human in this, somewhere in advertising or something, it said her name was Nova, I'm like, how? How are they gonna do this again? And when they explain it, it's actually pretty funny. I won't give it away, but it actually did get a big laugh out of me when I saw it. And the ending itself, literally, the last 2 minutes, does a good job making up for the shortcomings that the climax had. There's this place that the bad apes are trying to get into, and when you finally get in there, I was expecting a lot more, and at first it was kind of disappointing, but again, when you get to the final 2 minutes, they kind of make up for it. They do something a little interesting that does kind of tease maybe another movie. I also like the idea of playing with how humans and apes see each other now in this new world, and where they're at, and where even different types of humans and different types of apes are with other types of humans and other types of apes. That stuff's really interesting, and it's tapped upon. I could have used a lot more of it. I think there was really a lot suggested, especially in the ending, where I feel like, man, this could have really been dealt with a lot more, but at the same time, maybe that's something that will be saved for another movie, question mark, if this film does well enough. If not, it's still an okay ending just on its own. I do think this film is very entertaining. It's not quite epic, and I feel like it could have been, but it is still a really, really good adventure. You feel the hero's journey in this. You want to see him go all the way with his mission and succeed with it. So I really think it works on the majority of fronts. So I'm giving it 3.5 out of 4. Troy McClure confessing his love to Dr. Zaius. It's a good adventure with intense moments, with really good technology that sells the emotions. With that said, what do you think? Do you think this is the best out of all the Planet of the Apes movies, whether it be the original, or this reboot, or the Tim Burton one? That one's probably really easy. Do you think that it just absolutely knocked the other ones out of the water? Or do you think it really missed the mark and it's the least of these new movies and they really should have more of a mix of human beings and apes? Or do you think it's somewhere in between where you're like, you know what, this wasn't anything amazing, but it was still a good time and has some really great moments? Let me know what you think and I'll see you next time. Take care.